Hello there. This is Srtv Abuja. This is the maiden edition of Education Show on Srtv Abuja. I am Joy Ugbem. Today is Friday and it's a beautiful day, and as we will all see, thank God it's Friday. But then we are going to discuss education. Education show is that show where we discuss education and everything that has to do with education, the good, the bad, the ugly, if you say so. Is it formal education? Is it informal education? What are the good things? What everything, in fact, everything that has to do with education is what we discuss in this program. And today we are going to take a look at a very, very important topic. We'll be taking a look at the standard of education in Nigeria today. Well, I wouldn't know the statistic that is being used. While some people will say graduates from Nigerian university, when they go abroad, they perform excellently well with distinctions. Others will say a Nigerian graduate cannot even construct a simple sentence in English language. Well, I can't say much about this. We have someone in the studio with us we are going to link up with him, and he will be talking to us about the standard of education in Nigeria today. I'm talking about Mr. Emmanuel Alegbe, who is an assistant lecturer with Nile University of Nigeria here in Abuja. He is currently undergoing his PhD, still in industrial chemistry. Mr. Emmanuel Alegbe, welcome to the show this afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Joy. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, thank you very much for joining us. How do you feel joining us on the show this afternoon?
Well, I feel very much excited. It's a very great opportunity for me to be on this show to talk about education, the standard of education in Nigeria. And I hope we have a fruitful talk.
Oh, thank you very much. Well, we'll begin right away. I would want you to tell us your take on the standard of education in Nigeria. What do you have to say about the standard of education in Nigeria today?
Yes, thank you so much, viewers and listeners. I want to say that the standard of education in Nigeria today has fallen so much, drastically, and it will continue to fall if we don't take swift measure to mitigate this challenge. And when we talk about the standard, we are looking at the quality of certain quality that we require from our educational system, and those quality are no longer there. Well, we may argue that we have such qualities before, but right now, this day, we do not have such quality again. And we have to do something very, very quickly to mitigate this challenge. And that's it.
If you're talking about the quality of education, you talked about the quality not being what it used to be. What was it before that is not there again? What's that quality? Can you let us know?
Okay, yes, I want to talk about the challenges, because the challenges that have reduced the standard are very, very much around with us today. We can see that the problem with teachers, the teachers that are involved in our educational system in Nigeria, are not motivated in terms of salaries and wages. And of course, we talk about the lack of competence of teachers, the lack of competence and lack of quality. The quality of teachers we have has reduced. So you cannot give what you don't have. So our teachers don't actually have that requisite training and retraining to make them to teach this quality into our students, into our children. Then, of course, we also have the challenge of parents. Parents have to play a very, very good an huge role in the standard of our education, because most parents don't even have regards for ethical behavior or moral behavior of their children. We see parents these days that deliberately, directly or indirectly, assist their children to cheat. You know, they just want their children to pass by all means, and they do that by doing anything for their children. I've seen parents who deliberately register their students for miracle centers just to pass a WAEC or NECO. So what do we say about this? So these parents have a very good role, a major role to play. Then another thing we have is corruption. Especially in government established schools, either primary, secondary, or tertiary education, we have corruption. Corruption is a very big challenge. Okay, corruption is depriving our schools of the required facility, and equipment that can assist in learning and teaching. Okay, so all these are the problems we have, the challenge we have. They were not there in those days. In those days, when you see graduates from standard 3 who fell out of school, who didn't go to school again, you can see them when they speak English. When they address you, when you have conversation with them, you see the standard is still there. The quality is still there. My uncle, for instance, went to a technical school, but if he communicates with you, and if you engage him in discussion, you see that quality of that early, our early school we have those days in the 70s, in the 80s, but that quality has far been eroded. It's no longer there because of these several challenges. And if nothing is done to mitigate this challenge, I'm sorry, the next generation might have it worse than this. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much for that response. I still want to take you back to one of your responses. You said the quality of teachers that we have today. Who is responsible for that? Who is responsible for the quality of teachers we have today? Because you said it's one of the reasons why the quality of education has dropped. Who is responsible for that? Did you hear me, sir? Hello, sir.
Yes, I can hear you. Yes, I can hear you.
Quality.
Sorry.
What is wrong with the quality of teachers we have today, and who is responsible for that? Hello, sir. Hello, Mr. Emmanuel. Hello, Mr. Emmanuel. Are you with us?
Teachers we have.
Hello.
Hello. Sorry about that. It's a network challenge. Hello. Can you hear me now? Yes. You asked what is responsible for the quality of teachers that we have today.
Yes.
Yes. A lot of factors, but very quickly, I want to talk about the half-baked graduates syndrome that we have now in these days. Most of our tertiary institutions in Nigeria, we cannot shy away from it. It's a fact. They produce half-baked graduates. And what is responsible for these half-baked graduates? Perhaps, maybe the standard of education we are talking about. Some people, for instance, you talk about some equipment, laboratory equipment, they are not even familiar with. Some of them have not even gone into the laboratory for a very long time. So they just talk about this lab, theoretically. Okay, so they just heard some of this equipment without really, going into the practical session to work with this equipment in the lab. So by the time they come out from the university, you also call them doctors, you call them engineers, you call them scientists, you call them lab scientists, and give them all manner of name in the name of graduate. But when it comes to the field, actually, they cannot perform. So the half-baked graduate syndrome we have in Nigeria is another problem that is responsible for these incompetent teachers that we have. And also, because of the lack of motivation in terms of vis-a-vis wages and salaries for these teachers, we have relegated or neglected the teaching aspect of our children, especially at the primary and secondary school, to some kind of second class, some people who are not gainfully employed in the society, so to say. Sorry for my language. So we try to neglect or abandon this aspect of profession to those who do not have enough opportunity in our society. So we try to give them this kind of opportunity to go and teach in the primary school, in the secondary school. So to say, it's not too lucrative for the youths. It's not a job well sought after, so to say. So many of this teaching work, especially at the primary and the secondary school, is left for people who really are not competent. So what do we have? We have lack of competence, and this lack of competence is going to produce or generate another lack of competence in form of graduate. So these are the things that cause incompetent teachers in our schools today.
Okay. Thank you very much for that. You were talking about half-baked graduates. You are saying we have half-baked graduates. Most of our graduates are half-baked. But do you realize or notice that out there abroad, when our graduates from here go there for further studies, they come out with distinctions. They are usually the best, among the best. You may hear of a class of over 100, maybe, okay, let's say there are about 20 people with distinctions, and you hear Nigerians made it to 12 or thereabout. So why is it so? If you think our value here is not up to standard, well, we go out and we still stand out outside. Can you throw more light on that, please?
Okay, thank you so much, Joy. Well, it is true that when our graduates or when our students from here go abroad, they do very well. But let me tell you, they do very well because there is a system there that runs, which is different from our system here. Okay? For instance, if you want to go abroad, you are also subjected, you know, to further pre-qualification examinations. Okay? To show that you need to prove yourself, you know, on merit that you are actually competent. And it's not every Nigerian graduate or every Nigerian student that pass such examination. And also, there is no corruption in their system there. Everything is done on a level playing ground. You do not have you do not have to know a particular person or come from a particular place before you are given the opportunity to excel in your career. It is true. We have very good Nigerians who are the best, in the medical field, in the engineering field, and in every field they have chosen, they have excelled so much. So it is because there is a good system that runs over there, which we don't find here. Okay? For instance, you don't have to, like I said, you don't have to know somebody to help you to get admission into the university. In a university abroad, where things are done properly. You don't have to know somebody who to get you a job. You know, sometimes we advertise for job here in Nigeria, not knowing that 100% of the job vacancies that are available for such adverts have been occupied.
Yes.
Then you just allow people to go stress themselves, write examination when you have actually employed everybody for such vacancy, because Mr. A or Mr. B or Mr. C. But over there, to some extent, there is transparency and there is reward for meritorious, effort. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Emmanuel Allegri, for that response. I want to ask, do you think early education, if you look at the trend these days, you see that children go to school very early, at a tender age when a child is still supposed to be home with the mom, still struggling to walk, they are already in school. And I want to believe it. The Nigerian economy is part of the reason, because the mom has to work. And then you now see a child by 9, 8, they are done with primary school, a graduate at 15. Don't you think this also has a way of affecting the value and yes, the quality of graduates we have today? And also, what do you have to say about especially the private school, the kind of school fees that is being paid? I want to think that some of these schools with the huge sums of money they make parents pay, they just feel that this child can't afford to fail. So I don't know what you have to say about these 2 points I've raised.
Yes. Thank you so much, Joy. You have raised a very, very important point, and I'm going to comment about that. For the first one, let me talk about the issue of early child school, early the children going to school very early, at very tender age. You see, since we commercialized education in Nigeria, education has never remained the same, and it has brought down the standard so drastically. Let us be sincere with ourselves. Commercialization of education in Nigeria has brought down the standard so much. And there is a 6334 educational system that we run here in Nigeria, and that entails that children spend 6 years in the primary school, 3 years in the junior secondary school, 3 years in the senior secondary school, and 4 years at least in the tertiary education, that is in our higher institutions. We fell short of this standard when parents became so much in a hurry that somebody whose child is 12 or 13, we want such child to be seeking for admission, in a higher institution. And what has that done to our education system? It has drastically reduced it. Has it helped us? Has it improved? Has it improved our educational system? No, absolutely no. So I think there are age brackets for this particular educational system that we run, the 6334 educational system. I am an advocate for the proper thing to be done. Okay? If the proper thing is done, there is no child less than 15 or 16 years that should graduate from the secondary school. But, we are in a jet age, so our generation is made to believe. And of course, things have changed a lot. But then again, if a child is qualified and such child has the capacity, the mental capacity, to be in a particular class, either too young or too young, that child can be allowed to do that if he or she can cope. Then your second aspect of your question is about schools charging exorbitant, very high amount of school fees. Well, like I said, since we commercialize education in Nigeria, the story has not remained the same. You see schools, secondary school, primary school, charging school fees, enough to establish a factory. So what do we take out of this? Does it mean that the higher the school fees you pay, the more your child is intelligent? No. We have seen many children from these schools who cannot compete with their counterpart from public schools. In fact, may I shock you that some students from these public schools, many students from this public school can do far, far better educationally than the children in the private schools. Okay? So there are entrepreneurs, there are persons seeking for gain without any concern for the quality of education that have gone into the educational business in Nigeria, and they are busy cashing out with total disregard to the quality of education. And we must nip that at the bud deliberately as a society, as a government. Okay? The government must rise up to its responsibility of playing the role of checkmating, looking at the quality and the standard of these schools. Otherwise, the next generation, I'm so sorry for them. Thank you.
Well, I still want to look at it from another angle. How important is the education at the end of the day? Because if you look at our country, Nigeria, a great country like Nigeria, the highest qualification to become the president of our country is secondary school SAT, yes. So one would think that when you even look at that, you'll be like, even with secondary school, I can become the president of this country. So why am I going to school? Why should I be so serious about going to school? That is one. And then the university, yes, ASU is always going on strike because they and the government are never able to settle. I want you to throw more light on that also.
Okay. First of all, I want to talk about the qualification to become a president. You said it's just secondary school cert, or it's equivalent, right? So I know
Yes.
it's equivalent. So the real issue, the main issue is that it's a common saying that education is the bedrock of any society. If any society must succeed, is through education. But then, mind you, the education now system we run in Nigeria is full of challenges. All these challenges, are affecting educational system in Nigeria. But then, we cannot throw away the importance of education because the qualification to become the president of Nigeria is just a school cert. We can't. Education is still very, very important if you want to, if you want to attain certain positions. For instance, if you want to become the director general of NAFDAC, if you want to rise to the position of director general of NAFDAC, I don't think hey, the school cert is the qualification for such position. So many other positions like that require persons with requisite experience and qualification to occupy them. So it is important to know that you have to we have to take education serious in Nigeria, and it remains the bedrock of any society that must succeed. Okay, so on the other question about you asked the second question. Can you remind me?
Yes, I said the highest qualification for the president is school cert.
Yes,
Have you answered
yes,
that?
I have talked
Okay.
about that. I asked the
Then
second question.
you've answered all I asked.
Okay, okay, okay.
Yes, yes, I heard you well. Okay, well, if you're just joining us, this is Education Show on Srtv Abuja, and we've been talking about the standard of education in Nigeria today. Our guest on the show today is an assistant lecturer with Nile University of Nigeria in Abuja, and he is Mr. Emmanuel Alebe. We will be going on a quick break, and when we come back, we will come back with the solutions and wrap up with the program. Please don't go away. Stay with us. Viewers, we are really very
The next President Show is here again. Are you aged between 18 and 30, smart, bold, and possess exceptional leadership skills? Do you have what it takes to be the next youth governor and future youth president? Then register free now at superiorradioandtelevision.com or call the number on the screen. The next President reality TV show, moving politics out of the polite drawing room into the clamor of the streets. Hooray! The next President Show is here again.
Everyone, my name is Hajara Osman Muhammad. I'm the Youth Governor for Kano State, Nigeria's Center of Commerce.
Pronounced Joel Garba, the Youth Executive Governor of Kaduna State, and I am contesting for the Youth President of Nigeria under the People's Liberation Party, PLP.
Are you aged between 18 and 30, smart, bold, and possess exceptional leadership skills? Do you have what it takes to be the next youth governor and future youth president? Then register free now at superiorradioandtelevision.com or call the number on the screen. The next President reality TV show, moving politics out of the polite drawing room into the clamor of the streets.
Welcome back. If you are just joining us, this is Education Show on Srtv Abuja. And our guest on the show today is an assistant lecturer with the Nile University of Nigeria, Abuja, Mr. Emmanuel Alegbe. Mr. Emmanuel, yes, you were asking, I couldn't really get you well. You were asking about the second question I asked you. I asked you about ASU strike. I said, don't you think the way ASU and federal government at least settle their problems and the students are always home 9 months, 10 months, 6 months, it has an effect on the quality of graduates we produce from Nigerian University today?
Yes, thank you so much for having me back, Joy. Well, talking about ASU strikes in Nigeria, it has become a norm in our tertiary institutions. Every now and then, ASU close our citadel of education for several months and make our students to sit down at home doing nothing. And I want to say quickly that this has a negative effect on the educational standard of our tertiary institutions and the quality of graduates that we have from these universities and these higher institutions. And it is worthy of note to believe that most of these challenges between ASU and government center around funding, wages, and salary, among other challenges. And if you look at it very well, it has produced so many private institutions. This challenge between ASU and the federal government has produced so many private institutions in Nigeria, because a lot of parents now see the private institution as a better alternative to our federal institutions. Meanwhile, if you ask me, you will know, I will tell you that the quality of education can still be found in our government established institutions. That is a fact. Our government established institutions still have the quality, the standard of education. But the problem of strike now and then has eroded this quality, and we can now say that this has paved way for the development of private universities in Nigeria. And if we go like this, if we continue like this, the future of tertiary education is with the private institutions. I can say that boldly. The future of tertiary education is with the private institution. Because if you check very well, most of these lecturers, most of the good, sound lecturers we have in various fields in our government-funded universities are now migrating en masse to the private institutions to pitch their tent. Okay? So, a lot has happened in the past years. But we are going to talk about the mitigation that the solution we can find to this problem. Maybe in our next conversation, you are going to ask me that such question. But if you ask me about ASU strike has brought down drastically, has reduced the quality of education in our tertiary institution, and it is not good and healthy for our tertiary institution. The government knows that. ASU itself knows that, but they have not been able to find a balance. They have not been able to find conclude their problem, because each time they suspend, that problem is suspended. It will come back again. Because of this strike, a lot of people extend their stay in the university. A 4-year course is called 4 plus X. X is unknown. The unknown number of years you spend in the university is affects our graduates, affects our students, and it's not good for our polity, it's not good for our system. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. Like you were trying to say, at this point in time, I just want to ask, what do you think is the solution to this problem?
Okay, the solution to this problem is not far-fetched. To mitigate this problem, the government have to properly fund our educational system. From the primary school to the tertiary institution, proper funding is required for education in our country. We cannot shy away from that. Okay? So, apart from proper funding, then there should be deliberate effort from parents and students, to improve our educational systems. Parents should stop this, habit of wanting their children to graduate at 14, to graduate at 15. Well, it's fine, but there shouldn't be they shouldn't go to the length of registering their children in miracle centers for them to pass. It erodes the quality of our education so much. I feel so bad when I see parents, looking for ways and manners in which their children can pass examination. If at that stage, at the secondary level, you already have to introduce your child, to cheating, you can imagine what will happen in tertiary institution. Okay, a lot of people are working with certificates they cannot defend today. How did they get it? Some of them are bought. They buy certificates. It's happening. You just have to have the money. So, if we want to mitigate these challenges, there is all hands must be on deck, from parents, from students, to solve this menace. So I have talked about proper funding of educational system, then effort from parents and students, then also our educational system, our teachers from the primary school to the tertiary institution who teach should be encouraged. Their wages and salaries should be improved, because honestly, if you are not motivated as a teacher, you might be tempted. You might be tempted. If you are not motivated, properly motivated as a teacher, you will show commitment. You will show lack of commitment. So motivation on the aspect of teachers from primary to secondary school is also very, very important, because also training and retraining of these teachers. A lot of teachers don't even know what is training. Especially at the primary and secondary school level, our teachers should be trained and retrained. They should go for. There are several training opportunities that they can go for to improve themselves. If you are teaching, of course, you are a teacher. You need to give the best. Then you yourself must be the best. Okay? So you have to be trained and retrained. So all these, if we do them properly, can improve our educational standard. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Emmanuel Alegbe, for your response. I want to really appreciate you for finding time to join us on this show this afternoon. It's really a pleasure. Well, viewers,
Thank you
this
so
is the
much.
this is the much we can take on the show today, and of course, we'll be here next week, Friday, same time, same station, for yet another interesting topic on the education show. I remain your host, Joy Ugbem. Please don't forget to follow us on our social media handles that are scrolling on your screen at the moment. We would like to hear from you, we would like to get feedback from you. Please just comment there and let's know what you think about our show. Bye for now. Thank you.
Hooray! The next President Show is here again.
Everyone, my name is Hajara Usman Muhammad. I'm the Youth Governor for Kano State, Nigeria's Center of Commerce.
Pronounced Joel Garba, the Youth Executive Governor of Kaduna State.